Hello and welcome to day 16 of the Genesis of Androzani Advent Calendar. I hope that intro wasn't too laggy. It's been worse before, but yeah, it looks like it worked, so that's great. Patreon.com/Genesis of Androzani. If you'd like to contribute to the channel, we have exclusive access to certain kinds of videos. We also have early access to certain kind of videos most of the time. However, during this calendar, days 1 to 25 will be the same time for everyone publicly. But if you are on Patreon, you get an extended week from days 26 to 31, and those videos will be released in the new year to the public. Twitter.com/GAndrozani. If you'd like to get in contact with us, or just, discover some very toxic stuff that exists. But that's all the plugs that I have out the way. Now, as you can see on screen, like we did with day 5, we're doing quite a different video for this one. But if you've been paying attention to the intros of the very small segment before the calendar comes into frame, you'll notice that there is a Pixar logo there. And that's because we are going to be reviewing Toy Story.
Toy Story.
And I have a guest who has never been on this channel before, and that is PJ.
Hello, Genesis of Androzanians. I assume that's what you call them.
I don't have a name for it.
Well, now you do.
But yes, PJ was very almost on a review of the Avengers, but we had a technical issue. But yes, none of you will have ever seen him before. I've known PJ since we were 13, so the start of high school.
Yeah, very long time.
And one of the things that PJ is known for is a passion for animated films, right?
It's true.
Yes.
Very, very true.
Yes.
Toy Story is what is number one on that list.
And
Grown up with it.
And despite having a disdain for annoying kids, you are a child at heart.
I am. Watching Finding Dory in cinemas 4 times was very difficult for me.
I watched Finding Nemo in cinemas 4 times.
Did you?
Yes, I did. Because I saw it regularly, right?
Yeah.
And then I got invited to 3 different birthday parties, and they all went to see it.
That sounds amazing. I went to 2 premieres of Finding Dory. So there was the pre-premiere, and then there was the premiere, and then I went to it 2 separate times, one with my mum and one with my dad.
Yep. So PJ is an expert on Pixar. And
Yes.
I'm not too shabby either. I've seen a lot of the sort of peak era Pixar films. There's a few that I haven't seen, and there's a few I've only seen once or twice. But when it comes to like the peak Pixar, so from like 95 to like 04, 05,
I'd say 04 or...
no, it sort of bleeds
like
over.
05.
It sort of bleeds over to like 10, I would say. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I am somewhat of an expert on a couple of those, a few of those, I'd say. So yeah, we're starting with obviously the very first, and that being Toy Story, which came out in
First Pixar film.
1995. First fully animated feature-length blockbuster film, if I'm correct. I believe at least
You are correct.
at least
Yeah.
for 3D animation, because obviously
Yeah, obviously 3D animation.
yeah, for 3D animation. So it was it is one of Hollywood's historical moments, you could say.
It really is.
But with that said, give your sort of 2-minute initial thoughts on this film, PJ.
On Toy Story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I grew up with Toy Story. It's funny because my dad went to see it in cinemas in 1995, and he was told by a friend, like, this is the first full-length animated CGI film. You've got to go see it. It's fantastic. And Dad thought, oh, it's called Toy Story. How good could it be? And he went to see it, and it's still one of his favorite films of all time. So obviously, when I was a young lad, and Toy Story 2 came out in 1999, we went to see that in cinemas, and I've grown up with the first two Toy Story films at least. And even the animation between those two films just increases drastically. Like, the animation in Toy Story 1 is still amazing for its time, but you can see small little inconsistencies in, for example, the humans or Scud, the dog. But in Toy Story 2, it just blows it out of the water, which is why a lot of people consider Toy Story 2 a little bit better. I like Toy Story 1 for nostalgia reasons, but Toy Story 2, just incredible. Incredible film, incredible franchise. Controversial opinion, I like all of the Toy Story films. Yes. I love Toy Story.
Yes. So, it's one of those films I can't actually remember how many times I've seen, because it's always one that people had on. You know, people had it on, and it's kind of
just in the background.
And I think it was also one of those films that they played at school as well. And I was always trying to. I can always remember in my head the birthday party. Always remember the birthday party, because that's always been on screen whenever I've watched this film, even in snippets. It's the birthday party. So I have seen this film quite a few times, but before my most recent viewing, just for this review, I don't think I'd seen it since, I think it would have been like probably 8 years, because I won these like vouchers to go to the movies to watch both Toy Story 1 and 2 back to back in a gold class lounge. So that, I think that was the last time I saw it, and I remember I must have been in high school, because I saw one of my primary school teachers there who I hadn't seen in a while, so I must have been at high school when I saw it, but it wasn't recent, so I must have been probably 2012, I'd say. It's maybe the last time I saw this film. Wow. So since then, my I've obviously spent years and years and years. Obviously, with high school, I did 4 years of media studies, and then after that, I went to film and TV school, and then worked in the industry, and also watched a lot of content, reviewed a lot of content. So my mindset around watching and reviewing films has changed drastically since I was of that age. And Toy Story 1, I think is basically what the way I would define it is for what it needs to be and what it is. I think it's fantastic, because really the only thing that I think holds it back narratively is the fact that it's so short. Like, it's a really short film. It's like it's not even 90 minutes. It's like less than that. It's like an hour and 15, something like that.
It's like 75 or 80 or something.
And because I'm so used to watching like massive films, I've, the last few months I've been reviewing a lot of films that clock to like 2.5, 3 hours. Watching this was like a breeze. It was very easy, because it's like half to a third the length of the films that I usually watch. So it was actually quite refreshing to sit something down and not have to fucking exercise my brain to get through it. It's very accessible. It's very colourful. The characters are very distinct. The voice actors are very distinct. So it's one of those films that you can see why it appeals to children, because it's very easy to sit down and watch. You don't have to do a lot of mental gymnastics to get your head around it. But at the same time, it has it's actually very well told. It's not lazy, because there's a lot of kids' films that have very lazy writing in them, just because, they don't have to do well, because they're like, oh, well, we only have to target the certain portions of the film that the kids will enjoy and the toys that they'll buy. But with this, it's a film that appeals to children, but it is written to the same level that some adult films are. And I think that is a highly respectable thing, and it's also one of the reasons why Pixar is such a famous franchise, is the fact that it can appeal to children and adults as well. So you kind of get... Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, one of my things was it has little things for adults. So, like, obviously, adults are going to take their children to this movie, but then they have those subtle adult jokes. Like, one of my favorites was when Woody and Buzz are having a chat, and Buzz corrects Woody and says, "I think the term you're looking for is Space Ranger," and Woody says, "The word I'm looking for, I can't say because there's preschool toys present."
Yeah.
So that's...
And
yeah,
these
so
and these kind of
something for everyone.
these kind of jokes just get even more prevalent with other Pixar films, as you all know. Like,
yeah, of course.
in fact, I'm not going to reveal exactly what it is because I don't want to spoil it. But you know what it is, PJ. My favorite Pixar film has some of the best, like, subtle adult humor I've ever heard.
Yeah,
It's great. It's great.
Yeah. Are we reviewing that at some stage?
I hope so. We'll
Yeah,
see.
me too.
But because I'm sort of I'm obsessed with, like, structure. We
We'll
won't
do it in order.
We have to do it in order. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
But with that out the way, we shall jump right into the characters.
Cool.
So we shall start, obviously, with Woody, who is voiced by Tom Hanks. Which,
Tom Hanks.
when I found that out, I was like, "What the hell?" When I was, because when I was young, I didn't really know actors. But then when I found out that it was voiced by Tom Hanks, I was like, "Oh shit!" So they really pulled out the big guns. Like, they got some famous names for this.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, what do you think of Woody as a character?
I love Woody. I think he's perfectly portrayed at the start as being like this cool, calm, collected sheriff, like he's supposed to be. Like, he's Andy's favorite toy. He's got no worries in the world. But then he kind of encompasses a lot of emotions throughout the first film really well. He's got this, like, neuroticism about him because he's suddenly been replaced. But he does go overboard, obviously, but he still keeps his, he's a sheriff. He's got to be loyal. He's got to be, respectable. So when Buzz gets lost, he, like, even though he despises Buzz, he loves Andy. So he like goes and saves Buzz. He's out there for the long run. He's exactly what a sheriff should be, and he's a very commendable character, I think.
Yeah, well, I would say he's commendable, but at the same time, because of his almost, jealousy of the fact that Buzz Lightyear, is the new toy, the shiny new toy, which, that's usually used as a metaphorical phrase, but because this is Toy Story, it's a literal phrase.
Literal Toy Story. Yeah.
And what I like about that is that, him suddenly having this sort of stroke of jealousy in the sense that Buzz is replacing him as Andy's favorite toy, has some pretty catastrophic consequences and almost ends up getting him killed.
Yeah. Better wording.
Yeah, so I think there is definitely a sense of... it's so unique because, like, they're toys. Like, you don't even think of your toys like this, but it's literally... It's so interesting that they can tell a story with these toys that actually relates to real human drama, but within the context, within the context of the toys themselves, in like a realistic world where what if toys were real, and yeah, the fact that Woody's got like this responsibility to keep all the toys in line, and also the fact that he's weirdly, despite the fact that he's so small in comparison to human beings, he still feels like he needs to look after Andy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, he does, because he's the favorite toy. Like, in that point of Andy's life, toys are all you have. Like, toys are your escape from, school and anything going on in the real world. Like, maybe you've got dramas with your friends. Like, you go home and you play with your toys and you feel so much better. So Woody knows this responsibility, and he takes care of Andy, and he's this guiding light in Andy's life. And to have that taken away from him all of a sudden on his birthday is just like a big thing. And so obviously it's going to be a massive shock to him.
Yeah, I think probably my favorite scene with Woody in this is when they're like in prison. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's it. It hits a very strong note in terms of like, I suppose it's kind of mental health in a way, because
it really is.
He really is, saying to Buzz like he wants to give up, and I think like those kind of strong messages in these children's films is something you didn't really ever see before this. It's extremely powerful.
Yeah, it's just like, obviously they're trapped at Sid's and they think they're going to die like the very next day, and so they have this honest heart-to-heart where Woody's like, well, you're so much better of a toy than I am. And it truly portrays, like, if you think about it, over the film, he portrays like the 5 stages of grief. Like, as he gets angry, he's bargaining, he's like, what if we can, what if I can be the toy? What if we can do 2 toys? What if we can bring 2 toys to Pizza Planet? What if I come too? And then obviously this is the main massive scene of his depression. So it's just, you're right, it is a fantastic scene, because he's just sitting there just defeated, like, I guess I'm not the favorite toy anymore, but it doesn't matter now because we're both going to die.
Yeah, and I think that's the scene that I didn't really understand until I watched it this time around. Because when I was younger, it was just, characters in peril when I was younger. Yeah. But now, with the context, I was blown away. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah,
and it's just
super heavy.
And it's really, I really respect the fact that these voice actors that are so highly regarded before this film are willing to put despite the fact that, it's obviously marketed at kids, they are willing to actually put in a full acting performance into this film. Like that's proper respectful,
And considering like this is Pixar's first thing, to put have big names, as you said, like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen in this first company's film, it's just like, all right, we got to go all out. We got to do this amazing performance, and to have the voice actors actually pull through on that, especially Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, is just super commendable. Yeah, respectful, as you said. It's just like, wow, just put in such an emotional performance into an animated film.
Absolutely.
It's really difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, I really don't know what more I could say more than that, because you kind of outlined it with the 5 stages of grief. That really does sort of say it all about Woody in this film.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is he's actually very funny as well, and
he's hilarious.
And quite often the joke is actually on him because he's quite an old school thinker. But then when Buzz Lightyear gets introduced, he's almost misunderstanding of these new toys.
Yeah, well, that's with the whole theme, Strange Things by Randy Newman, where he's just like, he's in the room and all the cowboy paraphernalia is being taken down and being replaced with Space Ranger stuff. It's like, I don't understand this, what's happening? Like, I don't understand how this newfangled toy with like all these buttons and stuff is overtaking just classic playtime. It's just crazy to him. Yeah. And also a fantastic song by Randy Newman.
Yes.
Fantastic soundtrack.
Yes.
I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What else is there? There's also the whole section when they go to Pizza Planet as well.
Yes. Pizza Planet is a big scene.
Yeah. That's some of the most, like, I suppose it's a very like, that section of the film is very pulpy, but it's also strung along by the whole motivation of them trying to get Andy. But it's very adventurous, and it's so odd to see these toys out in the wild, and because they're so small and slow as well, you actually there is actually a lot of tension because it's like, well, these cars could run you over, these cars could drive away, and it would be like weeks before you get back to your house because you have to walk and you have to like deal with people on the way. It's like a wilderness to them.
It is. It really is.
And
in
also,
fact, they adapted to that, like with the whole, like they found the moving van. They got RC. They bloody got the fireworks strapped to Buzz's thing. That like, in order to travel as fast as humans can, because they know they can't travel as fast as humans can. But the fact that they kind of hack the system in a way, because they know it's so urgent. There's a lot of emotion in that.
Yes, and I think the key thing here when it comes to tension is making it the fact that, because in real life when your toys break, you say, I'll just buy a new one. But from the perspective of these toys, when they break, they're dead. Yeah. So I think the fact that is established, it makes it quite tense, and it makes you get really invested in a lot of the dangerous scenes because it's like if they break, they're dead. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that because that is actually a huge thing. I know we're not on Buzz yet, but it's a huge thing for Buzz and his emotional development is when he's like, oh, I'm a space ranger. I'm not a toy, and he like jumps off Sid's stairs, and then one of his wings breaks off, or one of his arms breaks off.
Well, I was just about to transition to Buzz anyway, so you keep going.
Cool, perfect. Well, just because he's been told, you're a toy, but he's been programmed to believe he's a space ranger, so he wants to stick it to Woody. He's seen that ad where it's like not a flying toy, but
that's so good. That scene where he sees the ad.
Well, yeah, when you look at him, I'm getting tingles. He watches the ad. He says, "Not a flying toy." It's just like, well, I can fly. I'm a space ranger. He jumps off the stairs, and his arm pops off, and so he's just like, wow.
The music in that scene is breathtaking. It's fucking so good.
It really hits home, the music. I'll go sailing no more. That's just and then obviously the Miss Nesbitt scene.
Yes.
Years of academy training wasted.
Yes. But there's something so funny about the fact that Buzz thinks he's real.
It's hilarious at the start,
especially when like he's like, I will fly, I'll show you how I can fly, and Woody's like, okay, then go ahead, show me how you can fly, and then he actually does it. He flicks it.
Yeah, well, it's funny. I was literally just thinking about that. Like at the start, he's like, "Oh, I can fly," and then Woody's like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And then just by sheer coincidence, he manages to baffle all the toys in the room just by being able to fly. By going on that race car track and the ball and the mobile in the sky, and then so everyone's like, "Wow, he can fly!" So it just kind of drives home for Buzz, like, "Hey, I can fly, so fuck you, Woody."
Yep, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. There is one big thing though that I'm sure you're aware of.
Probably.
That a lot of people have said about Buzz Lightyear is. I'll be very interested because you're very deep into Pixar, so I'll be interested to see if you have an answer to this. But so Buzz Lightyear at the start of the film, before obviously he sees that advertisement, he does think he's real, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So why is it that when
I know what you're gonna say now.
Why is it that when the children walk into the room, he freezes?
I've been thinking about that because I knew you were going to say that as soon as you said it. But I think it's like a toy instinct, right? So it's like our fight or flight. So it's programmed into him. It's not like a choice. Like with Woody, he knows he's a toy. So he's been in this for a long time, right? So he's been a toy, like in Toy Story 4, not to spoil anything, but it says that he was made in the 50s. So he's been a toy for a long time. So he knows, and it's just like instinctual to him, like, oh, kid comes in the room, freeze. And he can control that, as you can see in the scene with Sid, where he, reveals, like, so play nice, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with Buzz, he's a new toy. He's been around for weeks, maybe. So it's kind of like an automatic thing. Like, he's still kind of robotic with that, because he's not used to this whole toy thing. So when he sees a kid, it's like a wire in his brain just goes boom. It's not his choice. He just freezes. That's my theory anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, off that, because that got me thinking. I'm thinking like, so this instinct, does it come from a human being that has knowledge of these toys, like being real, or is it like a magical instinct?
Oh, that's a good
because it could work either way,
actually.
but you have to think about that because that means that there's someone out there that knows these toys are real and is programming them to freeze, or it's like a supernatural thing that no human knows about, but that it exists within toys. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It is. So there's arguments for both sides, I reckon. So with the supernatural side, it makes a lot of sense because obviously, relating back to Toy Story 4, once a toy is made, it just can come to life. So these kind of rules will apply to it. So in that argument, it's like as soon as the toy is made, it'll have that supernatural aspect where they can just freeze when they see a human kind of thing. But there's also argument for someone, seeing a toy, knowing they're supposed to freeze, and then programming it into it. Because, like, obviously Sid has seen the toys be real, and then he gets a, for lack of a word, respect for them because he knows they're real, and he knows that they can, do some real damage. So obviously, he's probably not the first human that's seen a toy out in, like, acting, for lack of a better word. So there's a likelihood that someone at a toy manufacturer has seen these toys come to life and knows, I don't want to spoil the magic for the kids, so we've got to kind of program in this kind of freezing. And maybe that's why Woody is an older toy. Sorry, I'm getting real into this.
Yeah, so am I. I like this.
Maybe that's why Woody as an older toy doesn't have that, whereas Buzz as a newer toy does, because it would have happened in that time span between the two. So maybe so Woody made in the 50s, less people would have known about these animated toys, and then as more toys become animated in front of humans, it becomes more of a human issue than the issue with the toy. So they're like, right, we need to fix this for the new Buzz Lightyear toy. That would be my argument for that side, for the human aspect. But for the supernatural aspect, it makes a little bit more sense.
Toy Story science versus Toy Story religion. What's going on here?
Who is the Toy Story god? Is it Andy or is
no?
No,
he'd be like Toy Story Jesus.
Toy Story Jesus. Who would Toy Story Jesus be?
Toy Story God, you mean? Who would that be?
Would it be the Prospector? Actually, no, that's for another episode.
I don't know. And also, yeah, no, we'll get it to later. My mind's wandering to other characters.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I suppose maybe it's a bit up in the air, but I'd be interested to see if anyone can actually sort of figure out the definitive truth.
Yeah, there's a lot of controversy behind that.
Yeah. So, yeah, because it's like, it's interesting because, if you don't think about this deeply, it seems like a plot hole, but then you think about it and you're like, there are possibilities that could exist, but we don't know which one it is.
Exactly. There's so many explanations for it, but we don't know which one is the real one, and that kind of lends itself to a lot of exploration, which I think a lot of good stories do.
Yeah.
Like it's not unconfirmed. It's not like you can't really shut it down, but like it leaves it up to interpretation by the viewer, which makes film more enjoyable.
I would say, oh god, no, damn it, because I was about to say that it would be magic because the low tech toys do the same, but then again they're with Woody and he tells them what to do.
Yeah, led by
this is Woody, a proper dilemma.
It is really. Yeah, this is good conversation.
Anyway,
right.
I'm sure we'll get back to it at some point.
Yeah.
But Buzz Lightyear,
fantastic.
Tim Allen was peaking at the time. This was mid-Home Improvement era, so he was big time. I think had he done the Santa Claus yet?
Santa Claus was early 2000s, I think. So I don't think he'd done the Santa Claus before Toy Story 1, at least.
Okay. But yeah, the Buzz Lightyear is fantastic. And he's radiantly confident and very funny, and
how I would describe him is incredibly confident and incredibly incompetent.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. Because there's that whole thing where like Woody takes off his helmet and he just like starts choking and he puts it back on and he's like, "How could you do?" And he, like, "I can't breathe in this atmosphere. I don't know if there's oxygen." He says the air isn't toxic. That's right.
Yeah, and I also think there are aspects in Buzz Lightyear that I can see in other Pixar films. Like, I feel like Mr. Incredible has some things in common with Buzz Lightyear, even though they're completely different. Because obviously Buzz Lightyear is like a heroic figure, but kind of a shitty one. Like he's kind of a fake hero. And then you get Mr. Incredible, who has a lot of similar aspects, but he's obviously he's a real person, so he's very different in that sense. He's not a toy.
Yeah.
But in terms of like his awkward confidence, he also sort of has similarities to Buzz Lightyear in a way. Yeah,
and also the self-discovery kind of thing.
Yes.
Mr. Incredible has that kind of like, no, I'm not, I'm still in my heyday. Like, I could still, lift things. I'm still, like, real confident. And then he goes on those missions with Mirage. Whereas if you relate that to Buzz, it's like, no, I'm still a space ranger. And, like, he, aims to fly and doesn't. It's just kind of that realization that, like, in a sense, it's like, I'm a toy, which is fine. Like, I thought I was a space ranger, which is awesome, but now I know I'm a toy. But it's the kind of realization that being a toy is okay. Like, being a toy is good. Like, you get to, instead of saving the entire universe, space ranger is supposed to be, you make the life of one kid amazing. And that's where he finds his reward, and that's awesome.
Yes. Yeah, but funnily enough, with Buzz Lightyear, there are always, when I was younger, obviously now because I've watched this film, I know the difference, but when I was younger, bits of Toy Story 1 and 2 used to cross over, and I wasn't quite sure which one was in which. There is a section in Toy Story 2 with Buzz Lightyear that I think is gold, but we'll obviously get to that in there. But yeah, definitely this film is much more focused on him as a character and his realization of who he really is.
Yeah.
And Tim Allen is hilarious.
Oh, Tim Allen does it so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can tell his
direction is really well.
Yeah, he's absolutely convinced that he's the character. Like you can feel it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Especially with I'm bringing it back to the Miss Nesbit scene, but like where he's like acting drunk because he's got these like cups of tea. Like 1 minute you're defending the whole galaxy. Yeah, he gets super into the character, and I really respect that. Yeah,
he does. And obviously, the sort of climax of the film is the big chase for the moving truck. And I think that whole sequence is really well executed, like in the sense that it's 3D animation and it's an action scene. Like it's an action scene, but
it really is an action scene.
But it actually, despite the fact it still has a very believable scale somehow. Despite the fact that we're watching these small toys, they they use the toys in a way that, like, you know, they're flying, literally flying. And I really like that. The fact that at the start of the film, Buzz Lightyear had, like, the fake flying. Then in the second act, obviously, when he realizes he's a toy, he tries to fly and falls, and his arm gets decapitated. And then at the end of the film, because they desperately need to get to the moving truck, they actually find a way to fly.
Yeah. I like also that they don't, like, they, as you said, they have that kind of realism to it. Like, they find a way to fly, which is awesome. But also, when they're driving RC, initially he runs out of batteries. It's like, well, of course he's going to run out of batteries as a car. Like, it's a toy car. So it's like, these are real problems that toys would have. And so finding a way to fly is just amazing. And the fact that, one of my favorite parts, like, about this scene is where Woody says, like, Buzz, you're actually flying, you're flying, and then Buzz brings it back to the start with, like, no, that's not flying, it's falling with style.
Yes,
because he's that's truly the point where he's just accepted who he is, and he loves this new identity that he's got for himself.
Yes.
Oh, also great bringing it back, you know, in a circle.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So much thought put into it.
Oh, so much.
Should we move on to the next character?
Sure. Who we got?
Okay, we've got Mr. Potato Head.
Mr. Potato Head. Yeah, I do love Mr. Potato Head. He's a very interesting character in the fact that he's so, like, him and Ham are so cynical, and just like, So you can see he encompasses his whole personality in his first, like, 2 seconds on screen, where he's like rearranged his face pieces, and he's like, "Look, I'm Picasso," and then he calls Ham an uncultured swine. It's like
metaphors used literally.
Yeah, exactly. And another adult joke that comes up with Mr. Potato Head is when Slinky goes up and starts, like, backing up Woody for the moving body kind of thing. And Mr. Potato Head takes off, lifts, and starts kissing his ass.
You know.
That's an underrated joke.
Yeah.
I think it's so good.
So just a question, because I'm not sure on this, but was Mr. Potato Head a Hasbro toy before this film?
I think, if my memory serves correctly, I think he was released for this film. Or like he gained massive popularity after this film, because I know Mr. Potato Head was a product really early on by Hasbro, but initially it was actually just sold as parts, and you had to buy your own potato.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the plastic one that you see in the film was hugely popularized by Toy Story. Like, I think it must have come out just around the same.
Oh yeah, so Mr. Potato Head, I've just found it.
Yeah.
Mr. Potato Head was a thing from 1952.
Yeah.
So, but it looked very different. Like, it was...
Yeah.
I've got a picture of it here. It's like... It actually looks like a human being, but with, like, a potato on his head.
Oh, God, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it is. And he kind of evolved to become what he is here.
Yeah.
The Toy Story Potato Head, which is very funny.
Yeah.
Because what they did was they got rid of the body and they just made it a potato with, like, limbs on it and massive ears.
That's a better toy, because the other one just looks like he does have a potato as a head, but this one's just like he is a potato, and you just put in funny you can put the arm where the eye is. Oh, how funny is that? Like, to a kid, that's hilarious. Like, it's encompassed with that Picasso joke.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's so versatile as a character because his, appendages come off is awesome. Like that scene where, what was it? I think RC just plummets into the moving truck and just, like, absolutely obliterates Mr. Potato Head. And his mouth goes on the floor, and just his mouth on the floor says, "Toss him overboard." It's like, how do you think of that? That's hilarious.
Yeah. God, imagine if he lost one of his eyebrows. That'd be so annoying.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't want to bring Toy Story 2 too much into it, but the angry eyes.
Oh yeah.
that's a big one.
Hmm.
Yeah, so the fact that he's such a hugely versatile character, just based on the fact that he can take off his appendages,
Yeah.
he's just a hilarious character.
He's always the quickest to get angry as well.
He is. He's
Like when Woody fucks up, like he's the first one to be like, "Get him out of here."
Yeah, isn't he the one who's like when Woody's like, oh, Buzz like, ugh, like who's the Space Ranger, and then when he's like, oh, that's not a laser, it's a little light that blinks, and Ham's like, what's his problem? And Mr. Potato Head's the one who's like, laser envy. It's kind of just like a big dick contest in a way.
Yeah.
Like Woody thinks he's losing.
Yeah. Do we get I can't remember if it's in like a post-credit scene or if it's in the next film, because again, like I said, things cross over. But when do we get Mrs. Potato Head? Is it the next film?
So Mrs. Potato Head is announced at the end of the first film.
I thought so. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been a year that passed. Oh no, it's been from Andy's birthday is the start of the film, and then Christmas is the end of the film.
Yeah.
And for Christmas, they have that like baby monitor, and it announces that Molly is getting a Mrs. Potato Head for Christmas.
Yeah.
So you don't see, and then he's like, "Oh boy, I better shave," and he takes off his mustache. That's such a good visual joke.
Oh dear.
But you don't see Mrs. Potato Head until the second film.
Right, yeah. So when I saw that, I was like, if we're relating this to like the Marvel reviews, that's like the equivalent of the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Because like with Iron Man, you get Nick Fury who's like, I want to start an Avengers initiative, whereas with this one, you get a fucking Mrs. Potato Head announcement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then like in that same film, they get a puppy, and like in that same scene they get the puppy, and then it's like kind of, they look at each other and they like smile like So it kind of leaves a lot open for the second film, which is awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Potato Head, great character.
Should we move on to the next one then?
Sure.
Okay. Now we have Slinky.
Slinky. I do like Slinky. I like the pinnacle scene for Slinky for me was when he's doing this like the massive stretch to hold on to RC, like from the moving van, and like it shows how like he's a dog. He's obviously he's going to be loyal to Woody. He's his his person, for lack of better wording. But then he's there's that scene where he's at Sid's house, and like they're throwing in the Christmas lights, and then eventually they just get rid of the Christmas lights, and Slinky is the last person to look at Woody and just turn away and turn the blinds down, and that is a huge moment for like
a dog like, your own dog turns on you. That's
if your own dog turns on you, you've messed up real bad. So yeah, Slinky is a hugely emotional character, but you can see he's so loyal, and like obviously being a dog character, that loyalty is so well portrayed.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean he's very useful because obviously he stretches. So you can use him in a lot of scenes.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you don't have like the monkeys that click, you have Slinky as well.
Oh, the monkeys in a barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember those.
That was another good scene of when they're like looking for Buzz down the side of the house, and they release the monkeys.
Oh, they really do know their toys, don't they?
Yeah. I don't want to bring Rex too much into it because we haven't talked about him yet, but do we need more monkeys? This is like we're out of. That's the whole barrel.
Yeah.
That's a good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact that like all these toys have little tiny things like based on their properties as a toy that helps them in this world is awesome. Like Slinky's is a big one because obviously he can stretch real far, and
he's a dog at the same time.
And it's just like that, it shows how like for maybe sounding cliche, but it shows how far his loyalty will go.
Yeah, I also like how his tail is like a slinky as well.
Yeah, it's a little boing. Oh wait, no, it isn't. I did that thing where like Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 2 blur together. But I was just thinking about another good Slinky scene, but that's in Toy Story 2, which we'll talk about it.
Yeah, those two films really do connect, don't they?
Well, they were Pixar's first two films.
So Bugs Life, I think, is in between.
Oh, Bugs Life was like 1998, and then Toy Story 2 was 1999 or something like that.
But they're often
it's very close.
They're often like shown together. It's interesting because of the length.
Yeah, they because obviously they are very short films. Being the first CGI animated film, took a long time to animate. In its heyday, Pixar was taking like 4 or 5 years to animate a film. And I think it takes like still around about that time these days, but
everything's elevated.
It's done so much. Yeah, exactly. Everything's like such a bigger scale. Like the animation quality is huge. The length of the film is longer. Like with Incredibles, like Incredibles 2 was 2 hours long, which doesn't seem that long, but for a completely CGI animated film, it's a long film. So I forgot what we were talking about.
Slinky.
So into this. Slinky. Yes, good character.
Yes, but moving on from Slinky, we have Rex, who's one of my favorites.
Rex is one of my favorites.
An anxious dinosaur. Like, how often do you get that?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So my friends from work, we were talking about what Toy Story characters we would be, and they came to the conclusion I would be Rex. Because I have this kind of like I'm bubbly and whatever, but I have this like, oh, am I doing everything like with like the first time we're introduced to Rex, he does that real like average roar, which like to try and scare Woody, but then he instantly downplays it by being like, was that okay? Was I scary enough? It's like, he's just so good. Then the whole thing with Rex, like when like before the birthday party, where he's like, what if they get another dinosaur? I mean, it's like, I don't think I can handle that kind of rejection. It's just like he's a T-Rex.
Exactly.
He's the scariest dinosaur, and he's just terrified. And it's just it's the perfect kind of like the looks don't meet the personality kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I do love Rex. Rex is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's almost like infinite comedy, really. Like, it's like it's a T-Rex and he's scared of everything.
And like his and where he's like, that's probably the best Rex scene is when like they're doing the investigation with Eirich, and they've got that like the blocks laid out for the road. To show like how this is Toy Story 2 again, but it's still like sorry, I blurred together. But yeah, Rex is just a hugely clumsy mess, but his heart's in the right place.
Yeah,
so he's just like he's real lovable. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love his motion as well, just like how stiff he is. It's really funny.
Yeah, well, it's accurate, right? Like he's a solid plastic toy, and his movements just like, so awkward. Oh, is Millie around?
Yes, there she is.
Oh, hello, Millie.
Yeah. Get on here. Come on.
What's her thoughts on Rex?
Her thoughts are.
That's a good thought.
Anyway. Oh, are you gonna stay on here or not? Yeah, indecisive little thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. It's not. I can't really say much about Rex because it's very much like focused on one specific thing. But whenever he's on screen, it's always great.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Rex doesn't really have his heyday in Toy Story 2 because he's got such a bigger part in that. But then again, all the toys do. They just get their lights shown on them, whereas Toy Story 1 mainly Woody and Buzz's kind of.
Yeah, it's very focused. It's very focused.
Yeah, but the jokes that they do have, smaller toys have, it's just they just yeah, blow them out of the water.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Okay, then after Rex we have Ham, who you said is like
Ham.
another very cynical character.
Yeah, so Ham is a great character in the sense that he is voiced by John Ratzenberger, who is a voice in every Pixar film. He plays a small part in every Pixar film. So in Toy Story, he's Ham. In Cars, he's Mac, the big truck.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
he is. Shit.
Yeah, so he has a point in every film. Like in Bug's Life, he's P.T. Flea, which he does an incredible job of.
Who was he in The Incredibles?
He was. I know it. He was. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I'm gonna forget it.
Is he like Mr. Incredible's boss or something?
No, he's not Mr. What's his name? Mr. Huxley, I think that's his bloody boss's name. But that is Wallace Shawn who plays Mr. Huxley in that film. Who is John Ratzenberger in The Incredibles?
If you oh,
what's that? Sorry.
Do you want me to look it up?
Yeah, I was like, if you look it up, it'll hit me instantly.
Okay, who does he play in Finding Nemo then?
Finding Nemo, he's he's not Mr. Ray, is he? No, he's one of the. Oh, fuck. I used to know this. I used to know every character he played, but I've forgotten it in recent times because I haven't seen these Pixar films. I need to watch them.
Oh, in The Incredibles, he's the Underminer.
He is the Underminer. That's
You're the Underminer.
Yeah, I am beneath you, but nothing is beneath me.
And in Finding Nemo, he's the School of Moonfish.
Oh, he is the ones who do the like, hey, your impression.
Yeah. So he has a lot of cameos.
Yeah. He's just a cameo. He's just a small part in every film.
Yeah.
But
Ham's like the main one.
He's always such a larger than life personality though.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Awesome.
And he's John in WALL-E.
Oh yeah.
You know, the fat guy.
Oh yeah.
On the Axiom. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So Ham always has a place in my heart just for that reason, because I know his voice actor is so dedicated to the franchise.
It's a bit like Stan Lee with Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Stan Lee's in every film except for.
Yeah, he does the recent ones, obviously. But yeah, he does the cameos in every Marvel film, and like it's just a little one, but it's always like that kind of when a fan spots it, it's just like that little moment. It's like, oh, I spotted it.
Yeah, well, he's in every MCU film except for the most recent one, because obviously he passed away.
Yeah.
I like how Endgame was his final appearance. That's fitting. Highest grossing film ever is the last appearance he has in a cinema. That's pretty good.
That does make sense.
That's pretty good.
Being the highest grossing film of all time.
Yeah, and that ends up being his final appearance. That's very fitting for the man.
It is very fitting. Yeah.
Anyway, back to Toy Story. Ham as a character though. I like the fact it's a piggy bank. It's a piggy bank.
It's a piggy bank. Yeah. Ham's got some. Ham's got some sass to him, which I really like. He's just what was it? He does Toy Story 2 again. I keep forgetting. Ham has some better moments in Toy Story 2, but in the first one, it's like a lot of the main time where you see Ham in Toy Story 1 is the first scene with the presents, and he's doing lookout for everybody.
Yes.
To in telling you guys what's coming kind of thing, and then everyone gets so anxious they all go and have a look. It's just so Ham's but Ham's also got he knows he's just a piggy bank, and so for that reason he's not anxious or anything. He's not going to be replaced. He's not gonna. He's got his part and he knows his part and he's happy with it. And that's why he has such a great sense of humor.
Yeah. It's very layered though, because it's like he's a piggy bank that contains coins, but he's also a pig, but he's also a person.
Yeah, he does. He has so many layers to himself. Like he's a pig, so obviously he's pig-headed. That's probably why he's quite arrogant and he has those, moments. But yeah, there's a lot to Ham, and I respect that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can't think of any good one-liners from the first film though, like just from him.
I'm sure we'll get back to him in Toy Story 2.
Yeah, he's got some great one-liners in Toy Story 2.
Yeah. Okay. So next character is Bo Peep.
Bo Peep.
Yeah.
Ooh.
She's one of the ones where like her like animation has changed quite a lot.
It has, like from Toy Story 1 to Toy Story 4. She was a lot more rigid in Toy Story 1. But the animation, like, obviously it's a huge difference because it's like 24 years between Toy Story 1 and Toy Story 4. But like they kind of keep the authenticity. Like obviously Bo Peep is a ceramic toy. She's from that ceramic lamp. So you can, like in the first one, it's obvious you see her shine and her sheen because she's ceramic. But then in the second one, like you can still see it. It's just it's more jaded because she is more jaded. But we can talk about that later. So
her character development increases her livelihood or likeness, her likeness as a toy.
Exactly. Like because if you think about it, in Toy Story 1, she is kind of two-dimensional. She's just like Woody's kind of like girlfriend kind of thing, or like fling or whatever. and she's just like, why don't I get someone else to watch the sheep tonight? She's like got that like like she's like the town bike kind of thing. If you think about it. But that's why I'm glad she got more dimension in Toy Story 4 because like she is the main female toy. She's the main female character in Toy Story 1. She's so two-dimensional. And without getting too preachy, it's like, I'm glad she's more than just like Woody's kind of flirt in Toy Story 4. But in Toy Story 1, she does what she's, she does what she was supposed to do at the time, which is, be worried for Woody, be caring.
Well, I mean, you just got to put in perspective, this is a film that's not even an hour and a half, and there's so many characters, you got to kind of make your choices.
And they all have such like massive personality. Like occasionally you've got to like Bo Peep doesn't have a big role in Toy Story 1, and even if you tried, you could, like, what would you make her do? She does what she's supposed to. She does what she's supposed to do, is be a love interest to Woody, and care for him, which is she does that well. She's a good character, but she doesn't really shine until Toy Story 4, obviously.
Yes, that is true. Then we have Sergeant. Again, another one of my little favorite characters. Very small role, but he's great.
Yeah. Well, I love when I think of Sergeant, I think of the scene where they're like placing the baby monitor or the walkie-talkie, like in the plant, and one of his troops gets stood on.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Go on without me." He's like, "No man gets left behind." It's like, that is exactly what a troop would do.
Yes.
And yet he's 1 inch tall.
Yes.
and completely green. It's like, he's such a small toy, but he's got such a big camaraderie with like all his his troops. They work so well in unison for what they're doing.
Yeah, there's such the smallest role in the film. But
yeah, exactly. It's the tiniest role in the film, but they know how important this role is, and they do it so accurately, for lack of better wording. It's just like they do it so like, hey, we're soldiers. This is how we act. Like we're like, this is an important mission. They treat it like a stealth mission.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's just it's so good, like how they go down the skipping rope down the stairs and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, I like the fact that because there's children in the house, it's like a war zone. It's like no man's land.
Exactly. Yeah, like they have to be hidden. That's why they drop when they hear the mum coming, and like the door opens super loud and she stands on one of them.
And then this only gets increased when you get to Toy Story 3, because that's when the children are fucking. That's when, whoa, it's very scary.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, they have that anxiety, and that's why, like, when they're going to the, like, without talking about Toy Story 3 too much, that's why when they're going to the daycare, it's, hey, we're old toys, we're leaving, like, we can't handle this newfangled shit. Like, these new kids will eat us alive, kind of stuff. We're just gonna bounce. Woody's like, yeah, no, fair enough.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So they know their roles, and I really love Sergeant and all the little green men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, now we've got the aliens.
Oh, I knew the aliens. Right. The claw.
The claw.
It chooses who will go and who will stay.
I like the fact that because they're at like a at an arcade, they're considered on another planet. It's on Pizza Planet.
Yeah, Pizza Planet. So they have the same thing as Buzz. They're like, oh, like this is the world we know, is to live in this, small container where occasionally leave. Like that's the world they know. That's it. And they see a rocket, so they think, oh, we're in space. Like, I know we're in space. That's fine. But then when the claw comes down, it's like, oh, this is chosen to go to a better place, kind of thing. It's like they're real accepting of death.
It's almost like an orphanage.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's kind. I was gonna say concentration camp, but I think an orphanage sounds better.
Orphanage is a little better. Yeah. But they're real. That's a real intense scene as well in Toy Story 1, where like Woody and Buzz end up in this rocket. Well, Buzz ends up because he's going to take him back to Star Command or whatever. And then
to infinity and beyond.
Yeah. Oh, classic line. But when Sid sees Buzz in there and he picks Buzz, and Woody's like, no, he's got to get back. The exit door or whatever. But all the aliens are like, no, he's chosen. Like, let him go. Yeah. He's been chosen.
And it actually makes you think that, because you know how all the time when you go to an arcade you try and get something with a claw and it just slips away from the claw. Sometimes you might think, well, is it the toys trying to save it?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Yeah. Another good scene with the aliens is when Sid is coming home with Woody, Buzz, and one of the aliens, and the alien says, "Farewell, my friends. I'm off to a better place." And he's real excited, and then he gets fed to the fucking vicious pit bull. And so it's like, oh shit. Yeah, it's just hectic, but it's just that they are completely oblivious to the world around them, and that's what is it very interesting about them, is they have the same thing as Buzz. So like when Buzz is around these guys, he feels like, oh, hello, take me to your leader, and then they're like, they point up, it's like, oh, it's the claw.
Yeah, and also inside the machine, with the way it's shot, is very claustrophobic. Not only because I think it's because there's two reasons, right? Because claustrophobia has multiple layers. So one of them is obviously they're packed inside this like confined space. Yeah. But it's because there's so many of them, right? But it's also because they have 3 eyes and they're all looking at you. It's very like unsettling.
It's uneasy. Yeah, because you've got this small confined space, and like the 3 eyes, so they have a perfect range of vision. They will see you no matter where you are, and so it's one of those real tense scenes. It's like all eyes on me kind of thing. It's like that, but I think Buzz shows comfort in that because he knows he's like a leader, whereas Woody is hugely anxious by the fact that he's even in there at all. And so the aliens, very, very prominent characters, and obviously have a big role in Toy Story 2 as well.
Yeah. And, just thinking about it, if you had 3 eyes, would your vision be extremely wide, or would it be like angled?
Well, so what I'm going to think of it from a biologist's point of view. So we have front-facing eyes, right?
Yeah.
So we have like range of motion. Well, sorry, range of vision. We have a peripheral probably to there, right?
Yeah.
Whereas
And also because we have two eyes that are angled diagonally, we have a depth of field as well.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas animals like prey animals like goats and sheep and cows have eyes on the side of their head, which gives them more range of motion to see, to look for predators who may be stalking, but they have less vision for straight ahead because they don't really need it. They need to be able to see, like, am I getting stalked? But with these aliens, what I think is they've got the one front-facing eye for, direct vision, and they've got the two sideways-facing for immense periphery, so you can see just like everything.
So
like
your peripheral vision
range.
is like as clear as your front vision, and then
Exactly,
behind you is your peripheral vision.
Yeah, pretty much. So
Yeah.
I, from what I imagine, like if these aliens had these three eyes and they were real, they would just have this like massive range of for all kind of like purposes, which makes me think like, are they predator or are they prey? It's just these weird kind of little green aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The science for having three eyes.
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking of it from a like biology point of view, which is probably not what they intend.
Yes, but it is very interesting.
It is a very interesting concept. Yeah.
Yeah, but they are very memorable considering, like, again, they have a very small role, just like Sergeant.
They have a small role, but like they are still like a prominent character that you will remember.
Absolutely. So, after the aliens, we have Andy himself.
Andy himself. Yeah. In the first film, Andy is, just a classic kid, right? Like you don't see much of him other than worrying about his toys. He's excited to go to Pizza Planet. Like there's not much of Andy, but there doesn't need to be. Like, who Andy is. He's real excited for his birthday. He's getting these toys. And he's obviously just a classic kid. Like, Woody thinks of what Andy thinks of him too much. Like, he's got to remember, in this film, Andy's like 7, 8 years old, maybe?
Yeah.
Like, he's just got a new toy. Of course he's excited about it. He's not replaced. Like, yes, he's excited to have, Buzz. And, like, in that first few weeks, he'll be enthralled with Buzz because he's a new toy. But, like, as you can see, when they start moving, like, Andy's happy to have both of them. He's like, whoa, Woody and Buzz are both here. Like, of course, like, he was worried about Woody. Like, when they were moving, Woody was not there. And Buzz was not there, but he was worried about them. So to have them both there in the moving van when, like, they come through the roof, and you could just, like, as an 8-year-old would, found Woody and Buzz, like, next to him. He's like, oh, my two favorite toys. they were just right here in the van. It's like, yeah, like, you can tell Andy loves his toys, but he is an 8-year-old. Like, he's excited about all toys. But yeah, in the first film, he's not hugely prominent, but he's, he acts as an 8-year-old.
It's a good setup, I'd say. It's a good setup.
Oh, very good setup for his personality, especially like Toy Story 2, he's brought in a little bit more. And then obviously Toy Story 3, it's a massive like growth.
Absolutely.
So it's good to see that, yeah.
Yeah. I think you basically summed it up. I don't really have to say anything after that.
No, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, that is the essentially the whole of Andy's personality in the first film. Yeah.
Yes. Then we have, I suppose you could say, the main villain of this film, and that is Sid.
Yeah, Sid is scary. Like, is legitimately scary. Like, in the first time you see him, he's got this like barren yard. It's just all beige and like burgundy, like gross, dull colors. And like he's setting fire to a GI Joe or whatever. I think it was a Sergeant Sam or something, or whatever they called it. But it was it was like an army man toy, and they just blow him up in the backyard, and you see these parts fly everywhere, and there's like instantly from the beginning, you know how sadistic he is. Like the next time you see him, he's like doing medical experiments, which leads to Buzz's great line, "I don't think this man is." And he's like got the mask on, and he's like, "Doctor, prepare the patient for emergency surgery." And he just puts the pterodactyl head on his sister's doll or whatever. And
Yeah.
the surgery.
Oh, he has this knack for making toys look so frightening.
Yeah.
Like Sid's toys are like genuinely skin crawling. The spider baby is.
Oh, the spider baby is gross. The legs on the fishing rod. That was one of my favorites, and the duck with massive.
Oh, the legs on the fishing rod. Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the Isle of Man flag?
I have, but I.
It's like 3 legs on a red background, all connected.
Yes, that one. Yeah.
And it just makes me feel unsettled. It's so weirdly mutated.
It's so unsettling, but yeah. So is that toy. But then, like, bringing it back to, like, all these toys have their purpose that we were talking about with, like, Mr. Potato Head and Slinky. Like, these toys all have their purpose, too. Like, the legs on the fishing rod, like, the fishing rod goes down and the duck can press the doorbell when they're trying to get the dog out of the house so they can escape. Like, these toys all have their purpose, even though these are not, you know, normal toys. It's just, so Sid, and obviously Sid, you know, putting Woody on the barbecue is just, you know, scary as shit.
That's something that I've always, like, one of my biggest nightmares is like being forced onto a barbecue. So because he's like a small toy, his entire body is forced into a barbecue. That's just frightening. Yeah.
It's just terrifying. And then how the sandpit is full of these like gross toys that have just been abandoned. And like he's done the same thing to them. He's just tossed them in the sandpit.
Yeah. Also, is it me, but like, did they intentionally make Sid's animation like gross looking?
They probably did. Like,
it almost looks like a
animation...
low. They like intended to make it a low quality render just so that his face looks yuck.
Yeah, well, I mean, the animation for humans was very difficult in 1995. Like, if you look at the first short Pixar ever made, they had this baby. Actually, I recommend you watching it. Very interesting, like, little part of history, but it's the first short that Pixar ever made. The baby, so there's this baby that's crawling. It's horrendous.
Is it on YouTube?
It should be. It's just I forgot what it's called, but there's like a little drummer boy toy, and it's around about Christmas time, I think, and it's like he's got a little top hat, he's got a drum, and this baby crawling, horrible. So the way that they came from that baby to Sid, in terms of human animation, is it's a really big step. But Sid is still not animated well. It's just, but this.
Is it The Adventures of Andre and Wally B?
No.
Okay.
It won't be that one. I can.
Because there's one that has the lamps as well.
Oh, the lamps. Yeah. I don't know what this what the short is called, but it's about like a little drummer toy. It's almost like a prequel to Toy Story.
Yeah. Oh, is Tin Toy.
Tin Toy.
That's it. There you go.
Yeah. So just look at the baby and how the baby is animated.
I'm just gonna have a look and see if it's on YouTube, just quickly.
Yeah.
Tin Toy, and if it is there, we can actually watch it on. Well, I can at least watch it on this. It's kind of hard for you because you've got a phone, so I'm not sure if we can do that. Oh yeah, so no. it is on YouTube. Okay, so I'll.
It's okay. I've got the whole like original shorts on DVD. My dad got me that and like.
Oh yeah.
So I've got all the original.
Oh yeah. All right then, but it's 5 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I mean, you can watch the whole thing if you want, but I just want you to like see the animation of Baby. It's just,
right. Yeah. Okay then. I'll do that later.
Cool.
So yeah, but Sid is fantastic. He's scary. He's just ugh.
He is extremely menacing for a child.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, and the dog Scud it's like it's a horrible name, and you came up with it himself. Like, he's just such a menacing.
Yeah, I just trying to see if I actually have a picture of the dog. No, I don't. I don't have a picture of the dog. But yeah, the animation for the dog is really frightening because it's so low quality.
Yeah, well, the dog is like, if you like, animating humans was hard enough for them. So like, to animate like a dog, which is harder to get a model of.
Yeah.
Like, it is a terrifying looking dog. Eyes are huge and menacing. Its like face is polygonal, for lack of better words, and then just robotically.
Yeah, I think
So
the thing that's the most scary about Sid though is his eyebrows and his teeth.
Oh yeah, you can just tell he takes real poor care of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, his eyebrows are, real gross and menacing. It just I think he's purposely animated to look just like a horrible human being. He's got that big bulbous head as well.
Ugh.
And he
Jimmy
does the
Neutron-esque.
magnifying glass. Yeah. The magnifying glass on Woody's face, which amplifies like teeth in that one scene.
Ugh.
And so he looks like a chimpanzee.
There's also the scene where he tries to burn Woody with the magnifying glass as well.
Yeah, that is the scene. Yeah. So with that magnifying glass, he looks like that, chimpanzee, and then he burns him, and then Woody dunks his face.
Yeah.
Which is it's just a
you'd have to think
horrible scene.
You would have to think. Oh, I don't know. Now I'm really contemplating in my mind, like, what are the logistics behind the toys freezing? Because you'd think that at some point, if Woody had control of it, that he would snap out of it and he would break character just to save himself from being burned. So you have to think that maybe it's... Oh, but then again, later in the film, he breaks out of it and...
Yeah, I think, like, Woody gets to... It's like a tipping point, Like, at that stage where he's getting burned, it's like, oh, I'm just getting harmed. Whereas, like... A rocket is literally strapped to Buzz, and he's like about to explode, kind of thing. And he's like, right, well, if I don't break character, another innocent toy is gonna die. Like, just burning my forehead is gonna leave a mark, sure, but if another toy literally explodes, I can't just sit by and let that happen. It's kind of like another one of personality.
Yeah, I don't really have much more to say about Sid, though.
No, he's I mean, the scene where Woody snaps is a good one for Sid, where like Sid gets that kind of like, oh shit, I should kind of way. It's maybe not portrayed the best way, where it's like, hey, toys should be feared instead of toys should be did. Yes. But I mean, they were put it there, like they were at their wits' end, like that's the last thing they could do. So to have toys be feared rather than respected is a better option than to have them blow up.
Yes, absolutely. All right, and then of course we have Sid's sister. What's her name?
Janie?
I think so.
Is it Janie?
Yeah, and
yeah.
I've got Buzz's tea party picture on screen for her, because that's the best part.
It is the best one. More tea, Miss Nesbitt is just, yeah. You're having tea with. It's such a good. But yeah, she's good because she's again a classic little girl, and so obviously she's gone to, like, her favorite toy or whatever has had its head ripped off and replaced with a pterodactyl, so she's got another one. And then obviously when And then when she finds Buzz without his arm, she's like, "Oh, I'll just take this. I'll just take Sid's toy. Fuck it." And she's got Miss Nesbit. And then when Sid is terrified of those toys, she like thrusts the doll in his face, because he's like, "Nice toy," and she thrusts it in his face. And he starts screaming. It's like, that's exactly what siblings would do.
Yes.
She's a very good character in the sense that she knows her brother sucks, but like it's her brother, so she's gonna torment him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just a classic brother sister relationship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And brings the best the best out of Tim Allen, as we know.
Yeah, his acting beautiful, especially Years of Academy train wasted. Yeah, and the whole like his laugh where he's like, "I am Mrs. Nesbit," and he starts like laughing like that. When he whacks him over the head with his own arm, and he's like, "You're right. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that." Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
This film has such a good sense of humor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's why he was in a lot of things, like a lot of children's films early on in the like late 90s, early 2000s. He was just so hilarious.
Oh yeah, he's the definition of someone that both kids and adults can enjoy.
Exactly, yeah. He's a very versatile actor, and his voice acting is, I didn't want to say that, but his yeah, like I think this is his first stunt with voice acting. It's just such a great job.
Yes. Moving on, we have Andy's mother.
Andy's mum.
Yes. Mrs. Davis, right?
Mrs. Davis. Andy Davis, that is his name.
Yeah.
It's funny you don't see his dad. So one of my favorite little theories about Toy Story 1 is how... So you just see his mum, you don't see the dad a lot, and then they move house, and he gets a puppy. So like, makes me think that the parents got divorced, and because like obviously he's bought all these extravagant presents for his birthday. You don't see his dad, so and then when they move house, like. He gets a puppy, so it's like, oh hey, like don't think about the divorce kind of thing. And he's never mentioned anything about his dad, so it's like maybe, the mum is just like just become a single mum, like trying to make ends meet, kind of thing. It's a weird theory, but yeah, Andy's mum does her best. I think she brings in those 2 flavors of Doritos at the start for the party.
Just look after that. You have to look after the baby as well.
Yeah, she has to look after Molly as well. Fuck, I forgot about Molly.
Yeah.
Again,
like the baby's animation is a bit off. It's very the hair.
Yeah.
The hair.
Oh, the hair, like the teeth get me. She's got like these one like front teeth, and then just like where she puts who does she put in her mouth? She puts someone in her mouth that's like strings along with saliva. It's just disgusting.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it might be Mr. Potato Head, like one of his parts. Yeah, no, it is Mr. Potato Head.
Must be because she's like, potato! Like, eat the potato.
Well, yeah, no, because he's the villain at the start. He's, yeah, so like, the start where they do the robbery, and like, he's got the force field dog, and he's like, well, I've got a dinosaur who eats force field dogs. Like the very first.
That's a classic thing of kids who make up rules as they go.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's just a great scene there, and then you get Molly, chewing on Mr. Potato Head, who's like the bandit. It's just a great.
Because I've got a gun, but I've got an AK-47, but I've got a bazooka. I've got a bomb.
Got a shield.
I've got a nuclear bomb. I've got a supernova bomb.
Yeah, because they want to one up each other, so they win.
Mm.
And then when you don't win, you just have a tantrum. That's not fair.
I've got a supernova bazooka with infinity and 1 bullets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't have infinity and 1. Yes, I can. I do. It's like, yeah, it's a classic. It's that classic, kids imagining and having a great time story. But the fact that good triumphs in that little start is just great. But yeah, Andy's mom doesn't play a huge role in Toy Story 1, except for comforting Andy when he can't find his toy, and then he only gets to choose one toy, pizza,
Yes,
kind of thing. So she's just a mom.
I just think that the human characters are pretty naturally backgrounded in this. That's the whole idea.
Exactly. It's a toy story. It's not a human story. Toy Story 3 is probably closest to human story you're going to get. But
I'd say 4 as well.
Oh, 4 as well, yeah.
Yeah.
With Bonnie's whole personality arc, yeah.
Are there any other characters we want to discuss?
In Toy Story 1?
Yeah.
I think you've got, most of the main ones. There's very minor characters you could talk about.
RC car,
Yeah, exactly. RC, you don't say Etch a Sketch, you don't say much. What's the word one?
Oh yes, the drawing one.
Yeah.
God, they really did get all the toys, didn't they?
Yeah, they got all the main toys of the 90s.
Except for Lego. They don't have any Lego. That's the only thing.
They don't have any Lego. Well, they probably couldn't get the rights.
Because obviously Hasbro and Lego,
Opposite. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's massive that they got the rights to Bobby in Toy Story 2.
God, they need to have. If they ever, because obviously there's always massive debates on how many Toy Story films there should be. But if they were tempted and they did want to do a Toy Story 5, they should do a Toy Story Civil War between Hasbro and Lego.
If they got the rights, it would be insane.
Yeah.
If they did Civil War kind of thing, it would be I would watch it absolutely, and
it'd be completely ridiculous, but it'll be funny.
Yeah, but a lot of people would be like, "Oh, it's just a cash grab kind of thing," but it would be ridiculous.
Oh yeah, but just imagine that the Lego movie crossed with Toy Story.
Yeah, because then they had the Lego movie crossed with Batman with the Lego Batman movie, and that was ridiculous. But everyone loved that. It's got mad good rating on every movie rating site.
And then you can have jabs at Moblo or something.
Yeah.
Meccano, Clicko.
Meccano. Oh god, man, some Bionicles.
Oh, Bionicles. Oh god.
Yeah. Some of those real old toys that we all loved. That would be cool. Have some Lego and build your own toys like this stuff.
Mattel.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or Kinects or Magnetics. The one.
Oh, this is all coming back to me now.
Yeah.
And obviously Barbie as well. You could have Barbie in there.
Oh yeah. Well, Barbie would be the ringleader. She'd be. Should be the head of it all, except for Ken as well. But Ken's
Ken,
super
for some reason, in my head, Ken would have to be played by Keanu Reeves. I don't know why. He would just have to.
Yeah, I don't know who plays Ken in Toy Story 3, but he does a good job of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah. That's for another day as well.
Yeah, and I suppose we don't really have to go into the plot much further because we've kind of already said everything, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean the plot is it's a complex plot, but we have said a lot of.
It's more so I would say it's complex because of the circumstances. The actual structure is quite basic, and obviously it would have to be because children films are like that. Yeah,
but exactly.
But the actual circumstances of the plot are complex because we've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah, and it's it has to be basic and followable for a child audience. But the fact that there's so much depth to Buzz and Woody and all these other characters who experience these emotions. it makes it enjoyable. Who like can follow these stories and just like follow them easily with the children, but also see the deep subplots, like with Woody and Buzz, especially in their conflict.
Right, let's move on to the writers.
The writers.
Yes, we shall. Funnily enough, for this film being such a short one, it is written by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 writers.
Wow. Jesus.
So we have John Lasseter, Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, Joe Ranft, Joss Whedon, Joel Cohen, and Alex Sokolow.
Right.
So we'll get to John Lasseter later, obviously, because he's the director.
Yeah.
But Pete Docter is a multi-talent animator, film director, screenwriter, producer, voice actor, and chief creative officer at Pixar. Most well known for his animation work on the Pixar films itself.
Yeah. Pete Docter also does like little voices in certain Pixar films. Do you mind just looking at some of the characters voiced? Because I can't remember
Pete Docter's characters.
Yeah, Pete Docter's characters, because I know he's done little ones in but Pete Docter is pretty sure he had a pretty big role in Finding Nemo. I'm not certain.
Well, whilst I look for that, for the audience, there's a picture on screen of him animating Toy Story 1 on like a Windows 95 or even earlier than that or something like that.
Yeah, it would be earlier than 95.
Yeah,
because it came out in 95.
I don't even know what it'd be called. It'd be called like a Windows. I can't even remember what it's called before 95.
Might even just be called Windows.
Yeah, and it looks very like bare bones. It's so.
Oh, it would be, yeah.
Yeah. So what they pulled off with that technology was unbelievable.
Oh yeah, like if you think about it, like the technology we have these days is incredible, but like to produce a film like Toy Story 1 with, computers that are like nearly a meter thick kind of thing. Like obviously I'm exaggerating, but
he plays the voice of Kevin in Up.
Oh, he's Kevin in Up.
Yeah.
Oh right, he's the big bird. So he does the squawking.
He's the voice of Father's anger in Inside Out.
Oh yeah.
And everything else, it seems to just say additional voices.
Oh right, so he's not credited for.
Well, he probably is credited, but on Wikipedia it doesn't really say.
Ah right, yeah. Yeah, it'll be like it's just like tiny little voices.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, Pete Docter, and then after that we have Andrew Stanton, most known for Pixar, but has been a director on Stranger Things.
Yeah, because he's got that huge creative aspect, but also with having a massive history at Pixar, he'd be good with kids' personality.
I've tried my best for all of these people to try and get pictures from the time, so they all look really young in these pictures.
Oh yeah, they would.
Yeah,
but Andrew Stanton is obviously quite old.
Yeah, but in this picture he's very young. Like he's got ginger hair and he's got very young face. It's interesting because then you look at pictures of them now, they look completely different.
Exactly. Yeah.
Then after Andrew Stanton, we have Joe Ranft, who worked on Disney films such as The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and The Lion King, and unfortunately, he died in a car accident in 2005.
Oh damn! Rest in peace.
But the picture I have of him is him storyboarding, and it's in black and white.
Oh wow! So obviously, if he's worked on stuff like Beauty and the Beast, then he's an old school animator.
He's old school, yeah.
But if he worked on Toy Story, that would have been a huge thing for him to go from 2D.
Yes.
3D. Wow.
Yes.
Like a Disney OG.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. Yeah, so he's one of the ones that went over from the Disney animated films to Pixar.
Oh, cool. So he's one of the ones that transferred the company.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Then after him, we have a very famous man, and that is Joss Whedon.
Joss Whedon. I didn't even know he worked on Toy Story.
Yeah, so he's famous for TV such as Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, Firefly, The Office, Dollhouse, and Glee, and films such as Alien Resurrection and The Avengers. And he also
big name.
And he also did Justice League as well, but we won't talk about
Nah.
that. But yeah, Joss
Yeah.
Whedon is huge. And his contribution to this film isn't major, but he did do a run through of the script. And I think, he has a talent for not only humor, but just his scripts are always very like engaging. He knows how to capture audiences.
Yeah. So I assume if there were any like little inconsistencies,
Yeah.
he'd like bump them up.
Yeah.
Them more powerful kind of thing.
Yeah, but he's kind of like this non-stop of machine of like metatextual jokes.
Yeah.
And I think that would help in a film like this about toys.
Yeah, so that's probably where the adult jokes come from.
Possibly.
Or would do.
Possibly. Yeah. Then after Joss Whedon, we have the team of Joel Cohen and Alex Sokolow, who are known for Cheaper by the Dozen and Garfield.
Which Garfield?
The film.
Oh, the Bill Murray film?
Yeah.
Okay. So
That's a weird film.
Yeah, how did it go from...
Although, you know what's even weirder? What's even weirder is Garfield 2.
What, The Tale of Two Kitties?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know,
It's like the Princess and...
Those are films that I've only seen like once or twice.
Oh, I loved those Garfield films like back in the day. Like obviously I probably wouldn't now, but
it's just
they were very good back in the day.
Oh yeah, of course, but like I don't know, just thinking about it, I'm just like, not something I really want to something I really want to revisit.
No, especially
it's one of the reasons why I don't ever want to revisit Shark Tale, because I have a memory of it as a kid, like being happy about it, but like I've seen so many people say no, don't watch it again, you'll hate it.
Nah. Well, see, the thing with Shark Tale, I find it funny. Like, there was that quiz night where where one of the questions was, "Is film yes or no?" And I just laughed because obviously it's not a Pixar film; it's just a shite film.
Yeah, it's a DreamWorks film and it's not good.
Yeah, definitely DreamWorks. But like the thing with DreamWorks, it's probably off on a tangent, but it's like it's real hit on.
Well, yeah, then you got Shrek, and then you got everything else.
Shrek, and you got like.
Actually, no. To be fair, Shrek the Third's not very good.
Shrek the Third's not very good, but then you get stuff like Kung Fu. Which is
exactly,
good.
yeah.
The first one's good, and then.
But then you get Ants.
Don't mention Ants. Ants is just a really shit Bug's Life.
Yeah, isn't it?
Yeah.
It had a video game.
Did it?
And the CGI was even worse.
Oh God. What was it released on? PS2?
PS1, I think.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, that's gonna go in like the meme category with like the Harry Potter PS1 games.
Yeah, if you ever start a Let's Play channel, we should play that.
Well, it's something I've had on my mind actually. To be fair.
Oh right. Okay.
To be fair.
Well, yeah, we'll just play some terrible games. I'll be around for.
But I have actually been doing some Let's Plays, but not on my channel, on someone else's channel.
Oh, okay.
I've been playing through SmackDown vs. Raw General Manager mode, and that's been fun. So go check out. I mean, people who are watching this will know who Callum is. It's on his channel, if anyone's interested. But yeah, the 7 writers for such a short film, but I think weirdly, despite the fact that it has so many writers, it's actually quite cohesive.
Well, yeah, it's well written. I assume like that the film was mainly conceptualized by maybe one to bring in all these. Joss Whedon would obviously make a huge contribution, and like Pete Docter, Andrew Stanton, and John Lasseter, like having such massive, well, they're now massive names in the industry, like to have all working on one work, you know.
Yeah, it's just interesting because in other reviews I've done on this channel where there's been like heaps of writers, it's always been a case of too many cooks. But with this film, somehow it just works.
That's, yeah. I mean, yeah, you do have a point. Like, 7 writers is a lot for one film. And for it to be so short,
there's a couple of...
That'd be like...
The MCU Spider-Man films have like 6 writers. And then like Hulk 2003 had like 6 writers. And then there's also a couple of X-Men films that have way too many writers. And it's just so all over the place. But then with this one, it just seems like a well-oiled machine, really.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think with films like that, like it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like you want it to be big and over the top. So all these people have massive ideas of how to make it big and over the top, whereas they don't really like it may not, you know, congeal that well. Like especially with the Incredible Hulk, the first one. But with Toy Story, like it was their first one. They've got to be careful. Their first Pixar film. They've got to be careful about what they do. They've got to they've got to make it simple for children. So like it doesn't have to be big and over the top. It just has to be a fun story that everyone can enjoy. And I think if they all like mindset that it has to be this way, and so you don't get that thing of too many cooks. It's
well, I think one of the reasons why it works so well is because you've got a very strong director to keep them all in line.
Yeah.
That being John Lasseter, who worked on Disney since the 80s and has worked on every Pixar film in some capacity.
Yeah.
So he's really the genius behind this entire thing.
He really is. He is the creative genius, and like no matter what you say about him as a person, he's been very controversial in the past couple of years, but he is just a creative genius, to admit that.
Yeah, we've talked about controversial directors on this channel before. Holy shit.
I'm sure you have. There's a few out there.
Yeah, you aware of Bryan Singer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Let's just move swiftly on.
But yeah, John Lasseter, yeah, he's the genius behind it all, and he really constructed quite an incredible film that has led to years and years of history.
Yeah, well, there's like a legacy at this point, isn't it?
Yeah, and also I think in terms of his actual visual direction, in terms of, because it's weird talking about cinematography because it's a fully animated film, but you still have to make storyboards, you still have to construct the way it's shot, like as if it was real, and I think he visualized it perfectly. He
did, and there's a lot of, like, from my aspect, because my big thing is like visual comedy, the fact that he does such visual comedy so well, and he directs that so well. Just adds extra elements of just like little finer details that make the whole film.
Yeah, he's really good with like crash zooms as well. That's one thing that the thing is, whenever you see a crash zoom in like a homemade animation, like a Gary's mod, it always looks really like weird because it's so, because people just, you know, at home are like, oh yeah, so I'll put one keyframe there and then I'll zoom it in and put one keyframe there, and it looks completely artificial, but somehow he manages to make it feel natural, probably through either speed of the zoom, as if like, you know, he's directing the zooms as if it's made with an actual camera lens, but also it's also to do with the fact that I think this film uses like motion blur in some places to make it look a bit more natural. Because that's one thing that animation has that it just makes it look very strange and artificial, is when it doesn't have the right motion blur. Because our eyes, when you move your eyes like that, like everything goes blurry. And if the toys are moving and there's no blur, then it's very unconvincing.
Yeah, exactly. And so the fact that they got that right to make it more authentic.
But the fact that they managed to do it on like a Windows, not like before 95, because motion blur even now, to this extent, you have to have like a big Chungus computer to get it right. It's very, very, very hard to render motion blur accurately. So to do it on a computer like that, you know, I can only imagine the disastrous technology problems they would have had making it.
Well, they nearly deleted the whole Toy Story 2. They had because one of the women took it home on a USB drive, and she plugged it into her computer at home because she went on maternity leave or whatever, and but she still decided to work on it, plugged it into her computer.
Oh, can you say that again? You've gone a bit quiet.
Oh, sorry. So they deleted it nearly deleted the entire film of Toy Story 2, but luckily one of the animators had a backup on his whole computer. So like that would have been, I think it was like 14 months down the drain of like of animation. So it was, yeah, the fact that they had these massive, they would have had these massive technological problems like back in the day. The fact that they actually got the film out on such a bulky old school computer is just fascinating.
It is. It is indeed. Past John Lasseter, we have the composer Randy Newman, who is iconic at this point.
Yeah. Well, he's like, his soundtracks for the Pixar films are just incredible.
You got a friend in me.
Yeah, like you got a friend in me is no doubt the like staple song of Toy Story. And then he's got stuff like throughout the first film, he's got stuff that he sings in as well, like I Will Go Sailing. Like he's got the Strange Things song. But he does the composing for all the Toy Story, and he does some other Pixar films as well.
He's also done Meet the Parents. Weirdly.
Meet the Parents.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's a bit of obscure.
Yeah. Well, he's yeah. So Randy Newman, like he does all these amazing Disney songs, but my dad's actually a massive fan of Randy Newman.
Oh, because he has his own albums, right?
He does. A couple of his most controversial songs are there's one called "Small People" or "Short People," which is singing about how, like the chorus literally goes, "Short people got no reason to live."
Oh.
He's just saying like midgets and dwarves or whatever, little people have no reason to live because they're just so short. And then he's got another song called "Rednecks," which is the chorus goes, we're rednecks, we don't know our ass from a hole in the ground, and we're keeping the N-words. And he says the N-word. So he's very controversial, but the fact that he does these Toy Story films
dear.
Yeah, it's the fact that he's still, these songs came out probably in the 80s or whatever, and the fact that he's still been like paid to do these Toy Story films even up until 2019 is just wow.
There's a massive tangent, but there's a Doctor Who episode from the 60s where there's a song in it, and it's called The Celestial Toymaker. So what happens is they get stuck in this like weird parallel universe that's full of like games, like life-size games.
Oh, cool.
I think there's one that's like, it's kind of like Snakes and Ladders, but it's full-size people.
Right. That's scary.
But it's run by this guy called the Celestial Toymaker, and he sings this song, and basically it goes along the lines of "Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, catch her by the toe."
Yeah. the racist version that they changed in recent times.
Yeah.
Wow, that's big for Doctor Who.
It was season 3, so it would have been 1965, I think.
Wow.
It'd be 66, I think. 66,
it wasn't censored at all? It was just, like, out there? Or
BBC television.
Ooh. That's,
Yeah. This is also the time period where they had blackface in the historicals as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
There's there's one from 1977 called The Talons of Wang Chiang, where it's got, like, Chinese villains. And the main villain is played by a British man who's got, I suppose, this is a horrible word, but I suppose you could call it yellowface because it's not blackface, right?
Oh, it is yellowface.
And there's a line in it where he says to the Doctor, you think we all look the same? Like, it's just watching it now, it's like,
really?
So yeah, the old times are a bit funny, aren't they?
Exactly. But we can only change from there, can't we?
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Yeah.
So, do we have anything else to say about Randy Newman before we move into the trivia?
I don't know. I think Randy Newman's an amazing composer, amazing songwriter, and his soundtrack for Toy Story is incredible.
Absolutely.
Mine. That's all that matter.
Yep. So is it time for the trivia now?
The trivia.
Yes.
All right, that sounds good.
Alrighty.
Let's do it.
This was the first animated film in Oscar history to be nominated for a Best Screenplay Academy Award, adapted or original.
Is this a question?
No.
Like a true or false?
No. I'm telling you the facts. Like, this is...
Oh, right. Because, yeah, that's absolutely true. That's, like, fantastic. It's a major thing.
Absolutely.
It's like that would have been huge when that was announced.
Absolutely, because the whole category of animated film was designed so that animated films could have a chance of getting an award. But then Toy Story itself is like, oh no, maybe it might just be the best film of the year overall.
Yeah, well, it probably was, wasn't it?
1995. I'm going to have a look at this because we sometimes when we do these trivias, I tend to look up what other films came out in the same year. And then through that, we discovered that both Matrix sequels came out in 2003, which is really weird.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
They both, because the first one was 1997, but then the second and third one came out like 6 months apart.
That's strange.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
Braveheart, Apollo 13, those two, I think.
Ah, right. Those
7, 12 Monkeys, Bad Boys, The Usual Suspects, GoldenEye, Batman Forever. God dear.
So Toy Story will be up.
And then everything. There's like one of the Die Hard sequels.
Oh right. Well.
I think it's the original Jumanji came out in 95.
Oh okay, that'll be up there as well. But I think Toy Story.
Oh, Babe came out, and so did Casper. Holy shit!
Really?
Pocahontas, Desperado. Interesting.
Some
Judge Dredd too.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Ace Ventura, Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
There was a film on Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
but the
sequel was bad.
But in terms of the big ones, from what I can see, Braveheart, Apollo 13, 7, and GoldenEye, and The Usual Suspects.
Yeah, those would be the big ones.
Yeah. So yeah.
But the fact that Toy Story's up there.
Yeah, Toy Story competing with Braveheart, that's something.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Anyway, back to the other trivia. Sid Phillips is said to be inspired by a former Pixar employee of the same last name who was known to just disassemble toys and use the parts to build bizarre creations.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Mm.
That's a former Pixar employee. So did he work on Toy Story?
I don't know.
Question.
I don't know. Early scripts of the film featured Barbie as the Woody love interest.
Oh, okay. But I assume they couldn't get the rights, I guess.
Possibly.
Like, in time. Because they got it for Toy Story 2, definitely.
Yeah, because of Mattel. They're like, oh, you can have these rights because your first film made lots of money, and we want money. We like money.
Exactly. But they probably didn't give them the rights. This like Toy Story sounds dumb. It's like, but it's one of the highest grossing animated, or it was the highest grossing animated.
What if they said, what if it was like Toy Story 4, that when they did the Barbie thing, and then they're like, hey, we want Barbie, and Mattel's like, you can have Barbie, but you have to have a Mattel John Cena toy in it as well.
No. No, don't do that.
Billy Crystal was originally offered the chance to voice Buzz Lightyear, but declined. After seeing the finished film, he said the decision was the biggest mistake of his career.
Well, that's probably why he did Mike then, eh?
Yes,
Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski.
But he was great as Mike Wazowski.
I can't wait till we get to review Monsters Inc.
Oh, I love Monsters.
Oh, haha.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's such a weird film, but it's great.
It really is.
The animation team perfected the movement of the toy soldiers by nailing a pair of sneakers to a sheet of wood and then trying to walk around with them on.
That's very cool. I like that. That's a commitment.
Tom Hanks recorded his dialogue during the breaks of Sheepless in Seattle and A League of Their Own. He didn't want to record his dialogue during breaks of Philadelphia and Forrest Gump because he felt he shouldn't do comedic roles in between minutes of playing serious ones.
Fair enough.
God,
That's
what a
cool.
busy man he was in the early 90s.
Oh, he was. He was so busy, in fact, that
Oh, oh,
toys like the merchandise. His brother did it, Jim Hanks.
brother did it for
Uh,
what?
so like, you know how like for example back then they would have released a toy of Woody
Oh
with like
yeah.
a pull string. So his brother does those voices, and for any Toy Story video games, Jim Hanks does the voices as well.
Does Jim Hanks do
But
the voice of the toy like in the film though, or is that Tom Hanks?
no, so all Woody in the film is Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
but all the like actual toys and merchandise and video games, that's Jim Hanks.
Huh.
Yeah, another piece of fun trivia
There you go.
there.
The carpet in Sid's house is the same hexagonal pattern as the carpet in the Overlook Hotel from The Shining. That makes sense because
Wow.
The Shining's a horror film.
Yeah, look, that is a good little.
Here's
detail.
Johnny.
Here's City.
Here's City. Here's Woody.
Here's Woody.
When Woody is
Yeah.
sitting on the bed talking with Slinky, there is a drawing of him on the wall behind them. This is actually an early sketch of the Woody character.
Oh wow, cool. That's very cool.
What attracted to Tom Hanks to the role of Woody was the fact that during his childhood he would always wonder if his toys were alive and then moved around when nobody was in the room.
Oh.
What attracted to Tim Allen to the role of Buzz Lightyear was the fact that before him they offered the role of the biggest influence in his career, Chevy Chase, who turned it down. Billy Crystal also declined the role.
Yeah.
So they offered big actors, and Tim Allen's like, well, I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Which
And then
makes sense for
the
Buzz
cat-
Lightyear, because Buzz Lightyear thinks he's a big actor. Or a big
Yeah,
star.
exactly.
Big star.
So for Tim to be like, wow, I could have this opportunity offered to such massive actors. Like, yeah, take it. Go for it.
Oh, the toolbox on the top of the milk crate that Woody is trapped in is a Binford, the same tool that Tim Allen used on Home Improvement.
That's cool. I knew I recognized them, Benford. But yeah, that's wow. That's like a little Easter egg. I love that.
Yeah. Hasbro denied Pixar to use the name of the G.I. Joe when it was informed that a G.I. Joe doll was being blown up by Sid. The doomed action figure is thus referred to as Combat Carl.
Combat Carl, that's right. Oh no, it's a Combat Carl. Yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah. Damn.
Some 3D effects were too complex, even impossible to calculate at the time for this film. Subtle tricks were used to avoid them. Examples, explosions. Thus the viewer doesn't see Combat Carl's demise. Hair dynamics, so Andy, Sid, and Molly all have short hair, while Andy's mother's hair is always tied back in a simple two-model ponytail, and flying water droplets. Thus the viewer doesn't see any liquid when Woody jumps his burning head into a bowl of cereal.
They only see the Fruit Loops.
Yeah, hair
Fruit Loop.
is a nightmare for 3D animators.
Yeah, that's why Monsters Inc. took so long, because they had to individually animate each solid
Apparently,
hairs.
female characters are very hard to animate because they have lots of curves and hair.
Yeah, same with Brave was big because like hair and water are the two biggest things like hardest to animate. So Merida having like a massive curved ginger hair, and then like she's in front of a river in one scene, and so they'd have to do flowing water. And then Brave didn't even perform that well.
It probably explains why they made Violet have extremely straight black hair, because that would just make sense for the animators. It would make it easier for them to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. In 2013, the original film was remade shot for shot with real toys and real people. It took Jonathan Pauly and his friends 2 years to complete the 82-minute film.
Wow.
I haven't seen this.
I haven't. I think I've seen like screenshots of it, but I haven't seen the actual. But I'd love to see the actual film.
Live action's Toy Story.
Live action Toy Story. I wonder what it looks like. I wonder if it's like stop motion or it's just like they just playing with the toys.
I don't know. Woody and Buzz Lightyear are inspired by John Lasseter's own childhood toys. He based Woody on his pull-string Casper doll, and once he grew out of Casper, he moved on to a G.I. Joe, a flashy toy at the time of his childhood.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Based on a true story,
like,
this is.
Yeah, more like the status of the toy than the actual. Probably didn't have a cowboy. Damn, like had GI, like the Flash, Buzz Lightyear, I guess.
When Sarge
Yeah.
looks through his binoculars spying on the party guests when he and the other army men investigate the birthday party, you'll notice Andy's friends are actually the same character model of Andy, just with different skin tones and different clothes and accessories.
Wow.
They're all clones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be just easier for them. You don't see you only see, like, you don't see their faces or anything, so they've all got hats on or
Tim Allen has said in many interviews that Pixar originally wanted Jim Carrey to voice Buzz Lightyear and Paul Newman to voice Woody, but they couldn't due to the low budget they were given for the film. Those casting choices were meant to represent how New Hollywood was taking over Old Hollywood. Newman represented Old Hollywood and Carrey represented New Hollywood. Newman would later go on to voice Doc Hudson in Cars.
Oh, he does! Wow. That makes sense. I mean, like, to ask so many big names to play in their first film, I'm not surprised that they got big names like Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, but they became bigger names after this, whereas, like, asking people like Jim Carrey and Paul Newman would have been more difficult for their first film.
Pizza Planet was originally Pizza Putt, a combination of pizza and mini golf.
Oh, I thought it was just, like, close to
Pizza
Hut. Yeah.
No, I don't think
Hut.
I'm not 100% sure, but I've got a funny feeling that I'm not sure if Pizza Hut is an American thing or not. Is it?
It is. There's Pizza Huts in America.
Is there?
I don't know if it's a massive thing though.
I know that Domino's is huge in America.
Domino's is huge in America.
And
but there's
Sal's,
definitely
obviously.
Pizza Hut. There's definitely Pizza Hut in America.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember Pizza Haven?
I do. It was like what, 1 or 2? Was that a knockoff? Was that like real copyright?
I don't know. I always thought that it was it was Domino's before Domino's, because I remember never hearing Domino's in New Zealand used like as a word ever until after Pizza Haven was over. That's all I remember, but I could be wrong on that. I could be wrong.
Maybe. Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anything about Pizza Haven.
Originally, the main character was going to be Tinny.
Tinny, the little tin toy?
From Tin Toy, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I think it's probably best that they didn't give it a tin toy though, because it's too rigid.
Mr.
Whereas
Potato,
Woody's so well animated.
Mr. Potato Head's line, "What are you looking at, you hockey puck?" is one of Don Rickles' catchphrases in his comedy sketches.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Rest in peace, Don Rickles.
When the Pizza Planet delivery boy enters the Dynaco gas station, Dynaco as well. Remember that?
Yep. Cars.
This is really a combined universe, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
He asked for the directions to West Cutting Boulevard. West Cutting Boulevard is the street where Pixar Animation Studios was located in Richmond, California at the time.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Yeah, and then Buzz goes in the front and puts his seatbelt on.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but you're going to be seen. But, like, Buzz, no. Yeah. Woody gets fucking crushed to death.
Yeah.
Really in the back seat.
Yeah. You know when George Lucas was trying to find a place to make Star Wars, he found a place called Skywalker Ranch.
Oh, really?
Like, coincidentally, he already knew the name of the character, and he found a place called Skywalker Ranch by coincidence. It's pretty insane.
Must be fate.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
At 81 minutes, this is the shortest Pixar film.
Really?
Yeah.
I assume the longest will be Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2, I think.
Long. Yeah, I think it's slightly longer.
Yeah. Highest grossing film of 1995.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, that's wow.
Toy Story got more than Braveheart. Yeah. It's probably, I mean, you'd imagine because the children factor.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Big children demographic, yeah.
The filmmakers have indicated in interviewers that the moving van chase scene at the end of the film is partially inspired by the toy train chase scene from The Wrong Trousers.
Nice. What a scene.
Yeah.
That wrong trousers train.
The wrong trousers.
It's the wrong trousers.
It's the wrong trousers.
The wrong trousers.
We've got
Can we do a Wallace and Gromit review?
We've got like 10 million Pixar films to do though.
Yeah, I know. We'll do those and then we'll do.
There's a moon with cheese. Gromit.
We'll just do the first 3. We'll do Grand Day Out, Close Shave, and
wrong trousers. Close shave.
Yeah, those are so good.
Yeah, and then you got Curse of the Were-Rabbit as well, don't you?
And then there's another one after that, but that no one watched that.
Joss Whedon created Rex the dinosaur.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, good addition there. Very good addition there.
During the production of the film, Steve Jobs made a private call to producer Ralph Gunningham one night, trying to convince him to use Bob Dylan as the writer and performer of the soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea. Steve Jobs.
Yeah. Steve
and
Jobs
then they probably,
Bob Dylan.
and you know what they probably did? They probably called back saying, "Actually, no, we're using Microsoft Windows to make this film."
Ooh, burn. Can't use a Mac.
Can't use a fucking Mac in 1993 or 4.
Nah. You think Toy Story was made on iMovie?
Oh! You think it's made on Final Cut Pro X?
Yeah,
Ugh.
probably. Oh dear. My phone's on 10%, by the way.
Okay.
I just got a notification.
Okay. Oh dear.
Do you have much left?
I'll try and blitz through it if you want.
Yeah, probably just a little bit.
All right.
Just a little bit quicker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim Allen's favorite line is, "You are a sad, strange little man, and you have my pity."
I love that line. Such a fantastic line.
Hannah says Buzz Tea from a Utah.
Hannah, that's right.
Hannah says Buzz Tea from a Utah teapot, a famous data model seen in countless computer animations.
Wow, that's a cool little Easter egg.
Oh, there's a Wilhelm scream when Buzz Lightyear is knocked out the window.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what it's called?
Wilhelm scream, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's famous for being in lots of films.
Yeah.
Specifically Star Wars and Indiana Jones mainly.
Yeah, that's a good scream. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. And then the prequels gave us Yai!
Yai! Yeah, that's a good one.
In full production, Toy Story employed just 110 people, whereas The Lion King had 800.
Oh my god, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, 110. Pretty small production team.
The only toy that wasn't in production when the film was released was Slinky.
Really? Wasn't in production?
Yeah.
So the Slinky was after the Slinky, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I don't know. They must have been... They're like, what if we make it a dog?
Yeah, probably.
Because they maybe they wanted we want Woody to have a dog character. Well, how can we implement him? Well, what if he's a Slinky dog?
Yeah. Well, Slinky is a good as a great character, and the Slinky is an iconic toy, so they merge them.
Disney can be seen on Buzz's behind.
Really? Wow. What the D? The weird.
I think so.
Backwards G. Yeah.
I've always thought his beard was little one hair beard was meant to be like the Disney logo.
Yeah, that would have been funny. That would have been really funny. The little weird.
John Cleese was considered for the role of Slinky Dog.
John Cleese.
Yeah.
Wow, that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson was considered for the role of Buzz Lightyear.
Oh no.
Ugh.
He might have been okay, but it's just
Tim Allen. It's got to be Tim Allen.
Such an iconic. Yeah.
Everything turned out how it should have,
Yeah, exactly.
History had its place. This film has a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yep. Toy Story 1 and 2. 100%
Based
rating.
on 83 critics, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the highest rated animated films.
Well, it's universally praised, really.
Yeah, it is just a great film. Just like, forget that it's an animated film. It's a great film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This film was released 1 year after the original Lion King. Toy Story 4 was released 24 years later in the same year and a month before the Lion King remake.
Wow. That's a coincidence. That's cool.
Yes. The green three-eyed aliens have a circled pizza on their front.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. What's your battery on now?
Let me just check. 9.
Okay. Well, I've kind of just skipped through a bunch of it.
Yeah.
But
if
it's
you've got any like important.
it's all kind of just. There's a lot of like, just massively obscure references to like toys and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just do a couple of the big ones.
Okay, I'll do one that's got quite a long paragraph, because it looks like it might be interesting. The movies do not explicitly state the years in which they take place, which makes the Toy Story film timeline inexact. However, references within the film can date the first movie to taking place in 1995. This means that Andy, who turned 6 in the first film, was born in 1989. Woody and Andy were friends from an early age, so Woody and Andy could have first met when Andy was a baby. Even then, however, Woody is a lot older than Andy. In Toy Story 2, Woody learns that he is a collectible toy based on a 1950s television show, Woody's Roundup, along with Jessie the Cowgirl, Bullseye the Horse, and Stinky Pete the Prospector. Woody is part of a limited edition set of toys that are rare enough to be sold to a Japanese museum. The black and white aesthetic also always suggested the 50s, and this is confirmed in Toy Story 4 by Gabby Gabby. As a result, Woody would have lived 30 to 40 years of his life before meeting Andy. When Al tries to buy Woody at the yard sale in Toy Story 2, Andy's mother apologizes and takes Woody back, saying he is an old family toy. Andy is only around 8 years old in Toy Story 2, as his mother identifies Woody as a family toy rather than her son's toy. That seems to signal that Woody has been in the family's possession longer than Andy has been alive. In Toy Story 2, Woody remarks, "A record player, I haven't seen one of those in ages." It's unlikely that Andy would have had a record player in the 1990s, so this would have indicate that Woody does have memories of his life before. It's likely that Woody was owned by one of Andy's parents when they were children. Some fan theories go deep into Andy's missing father and hinge on the idea that Woody once belonged to him because Andy associates Woody with his father. He is all the more attached to the toy.
Wow.
And I think that's
cool.
I think that's all in the trivia, because I don't think it would get better than that.
That's just a really good one. That's fantastic.
So, PJ, give your conclusion and a rating out of 10 for Toy Story.
A rating out of 10 for Toy Story. Conclusion, Toy Story has a very prominent place in my heart. It is an incredible film, and I will love it to infinity and beyond. And my rating, it just has to be a 10.
Didn't expect anything else.
Nah. Yeah, you're not surprised.
Yeah. Okay, so I think Toy Story is extremely brilliant. It's creative, it's got a fantastic concept, it has great actors, it's well executed for its time. Yeah, there's CGI is definitely dated, but that was all they had with their, Windows pre-95 fucking shitty computers. It's funny, it's smart, it's clever, it appeals to children, but also appeals to adults. It's wonderful. The only things that really sort of hold it back for me is, I think, just in comparison to other films on a critical level, I think the fact that it's so short has a little bit of I suppose, what's the word? It kind of doesn't have the balls to hit like the top mark for me.
Yeah, for sure.
However, once we get down the line on Pixar, I'll have something different to say. But I think this film is a fantastic film. It hits all the right marks. For it being so short and old, and the CGI being dated, it still holds up. And yeah, I really do think it is a fantastic and historic film. So I'm going to give it a solid 9 out of 10.
Good rating.
Yes.
Very good rating.
Yes. And yeah, that's all I got to say. So, is there anything else you want to say before we wrap up?
That I'm excited for the next one. This was fun. I'm very excited to come back for the rest of the Pixar films.
Yes. Well, whenever we get around to doing that, the next one will be obviously A Bug's Life.
Bug's Life.
Which is a film I haven't seen in a very long time, but I do I have visual memories of it in my head.
I'll definitely have to
It's
rewatch.
always the I think it's either floating or flying scene across the I think it's like a waterfall in my brain. I can remember.
Oh, yeah.
And also just any scene with the grasshoppers. I always remember the grasshopper scenes.
The grasshoppers are scary. Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of the Pixar, if when we eventually get around to doing it again, it'll be A Bug's Life. But in terms of this advent calendar, it shall be day 17 tomorrow, because today's day 16. So
exciting.
Hope you all look forward to that. But yeah, like I said, if you've got nothing else to say, I suppose we can finish, right?
Yep, sounds good.
Alrighty, we will see you all tomorrow.